Welcome to Co-Creative Conversations from Co-Creator Circle. I'm meeting today with Sampada Pachaury. I hope I'm saying your name correctly.
It is correct. Thank
Yes.
you.
You know, we were talking just before this conversation, and that's what I always see that before a conversation is on the air, there's a conversation before that. There are actually
Right.
several little conversations that lead us to larger conversations. And conversation, a give and take, a talking to one another is the best way to see what is happening in the world around us. One of the
That's
things
right.
that we always talk in co-creator circle and in the co-creative conversations that I like to speak with people who are walking their talk and also talking their walk because
Mhm.
we feel that it has to be something very huge, very big, but sometimes it is the little things of life which have larger impacts than what we think are the big things of life, which are all on the media. And so that's what I'm
Mhm.
trying to bring about in these co-creative conversations by talking to different people from different walks of life about what they are doing. And let's see where the conversation goes from here. Let me start
Sure.
by saying a little more about you, Sampada. So I'm going to read out the bio. Sampada
Mhm.
Pachaury is a seasoned leader from the semiconductor industry who has transitioned into coaching and program design focused on developing engineering skills. She specializes in creating and implementing strategic programs for engineering institutions that nurture a growth mindset in students. She also trains faculty to design meaningful and effective learning outcomes. Sampada holds a master's degree in VLSI design from IIT Delhi, along with certifications in human centered systems thinking practice, and NLP based coaching. With rich experience in both multinational corporations and academia, she brings a rare and valuable blend of industry and educational insight into her work. And now, something really exciting and interesting about Sampada. Outside of her professional life, Sampada is a proud mother of two college going children. She's known as a warm, story loving auntie to young kids and a passionate long distance cyclist who thrives in nature. And there's something you say that you like to say with all this richness. She said, "My wallet may be empty, but my heart is full of love."
Yeah, that's
You
right.
know, I purposely like to read things slowly because I'm savoring every word of your bio. It's it's like there's so many words, but in between those words, there are portals. I feel when we meet a person, a whole portal opens. And I've spoken
Mhm.
so much now from the beginning to now. I'd like you to say something, Sampada. How did that thought come to you? My wallet may be empty, but my heart is full of love.
Sure. Thank you, Meenakshi. First of all, thanks for getting this podcast arranged and inviting me or thinking of me or considering me for this as a speaker for this podcast series. Um, Thank you for a wonderful start of the session. And yeah, I think I can say that I chose to quit my career at the time when I was earning well and I was doing very well. And I was happy to see the money getting into my account at the end of every month. And what I have chosen to do over the last decade or more, to be honest, 10 plus 10, so 2 decades of my life where I have not been into the typical career that people go into. So I've emptied my bank account and my savings, but the amount of love I have from all the students that I have worked with, and they range from as young as a 3 to 4 year old who comes to me, and I mean, if I go down right now, this boy will run to me. His name if I could mention, is Fevin, and he would just hug me and say, "Auntie, when is the next storytelling session?" And then I have people in engineering undergraduate program who are 20, 21, and they write messages to me during the time they are in the studies, as well as when they have graduated or they're working or they're in master somewhere. When they write to me, and I have these students wishing me on International Women's Day, on Mother's Day, on Teachers' Day. So that's what makes me say that my wallet may be empty, but my heart is full of love because I keep getting this love in, in abundance. And that's what keeps me going.
I also feel from what you said that um, the wallet of your heart, I mean, is just so full. It's like a cavern full of gold from what you've said, not only from what
Hmm.
you receive, but also from what you give.
Hmm.
I remember meeting someone once, and she came to, we used to have these Tuesday circles, and
Hmm.
she said, in a very pained voice, she said,
Hmm.
I've given all my life. I just give and give and give, and now I'm tired. So I
Hmm.
just asked her, I said, what you have given to others, from where have you received it? And
Yeah.
suddenly it was like a lightning. She
Yeah.
didn't really want to face that because she wanted at that time, she needed more gentleness and kindness. But
Yeah.
sometimes I feel we have to jolt ourselves awake. And then
Hmm.
we see the real reality. I have been
Hmm.
through periods like what you're saying, Sampada. In fact, even co-creator circle, even though it started with like an ink and not like a non-profit, I call it an
Hmm.
ink with a soul because
Hmm.
we are not seeking to, it's a professional organization. We do things in a professional way, but we are not doing it in a cold way. We started thinking of things which are professional as cold. And a
Hmm.
funny story, because AI has come into our lives. And recently, I was writing out about members. We are open to having members, but I'm not
Uh-huh.
open to having anyone join. I want the base to be very strong, co-creative people. So I wrote
Hmm.
over there. This is the kind of membership I want. And then I said, somebody told me, Meenakshi, why don't you just use one of the chat GPTs also, just to see what they will ask you how to. So I looked at it. And do you know what it told me? It said, make it more emotional, make it more personal. I was
That's
like,
right.
oh my gosh. And so-called artificial thing is telling the human being to be more emotional. How
Look at that.
funny.
Look at that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's that that's the truth. That's the fact.
I feel also from what you are also seeing, I'm still thinking of that even when we don't have the money that we think is what makes wealth, and of course it's important because you have to pay the bills, but
Hmm.
don't you find miracles happening? I mean, still life goes on life goes on so beautifully. You have so much still to give. How does that happen?
Yes. Yeah, so you mentioned the word miracles, and I definitely come from the time when, for me, miracle was something not possible. I mean, because when I studied engineering, when I was looking at everything from a very science and maths lens, there is no room for miracles when you're looking at things from a very logical, rational perspective. And that's how I spent my first 25 years of my life. For me, everything was to be done, to be earned, to be created. And there is no surprise in the form of miracle that might come by. But the later part of my life is when I could see that sometimes, even with the best of my planning or any planning, things were not happening the way we planned them to be. And I went through this journey of trying to accept it, learning to go with the flow, easing up a little bit. And it has taken a lot out of my, my own spiritual growth has been this way that I've learned how to let go, how to surrender. And as you surrender, as you let go, as you ease up yourself, as you become less and less rigid, you start seeing things happen. And that's what miracle is to me. You have not done it, but it has happened because this is how things are now piecing themselves together. And now I believe miracles are nothing but things which come back because you have allowed space of from the ecosystem to come and furnish what you need. And ecosystem knows what you need. It is very sensitive to who you are and how you are and what should be given to you at what time. And having that kind of acceptance, peace, and uh, faith helps you. And that's what miracle now to me is.
That's such a beautiful way of explaining it, because why I'm particularly liking what you said is because very often in spiritual words, we say the universe will provide what you require. But what is that universe? Very often when we use that word, you think it's like outer space, but you use the
Yeah.
term ecosystem, which is
Hmm.
so true because it's from the elements of the earth that we receive everything. It's and from the people.
Yeah.
The elements are also within the people. And can you talk a little more about that ecosystem you're talking about and how you saw this happening?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I'm a family person. I have two kids, and I have my husband with me, and I also have my mother who lives with me now because she's by herself. When once I lost my father, I didn't want to her to be living alone. So that's my immediate ecosystem because these are the people with whom I'm surrounded all the time. And most of my decisions, my planning is to make sure that everything is in harmony with each other. And so, I mean, my mom being 90 plus now, and my children being the typical Gen Z, and my husband being one of my age, but still, there's a lot of personality difference between me and him. So to have that running is how I have now finally created an ecosystem where everybody should get their say, get their things done. Then comes my ecosystem, which is where I get my sanity from. And that's where I have this social circle, my friends, with whom, and somewhere I have learned where and when what to be positioned so that if I'm getting consumed in something, I should be able to get my me time or my re-energizing, my recharge time with the people that I spend my good times with. So I have been able to figure out an equation where I'm giving everything to whoever needs something from me. At the same time, I'm also drawing something which I need for myself to be able to give more. And so my ecosystem is the people around me, the entire place around me, my students, my maids, my cook, my people who come to clean my house. They are all part of that ecosystem. There are guards, security guards who are out there because in India, the societies that we have all this thing functioning. And they are
Yeah.
all the people who are part of my life. I look at them, I look at their smiles, and we greet each other, and suddenly there is a transfer of energy. And that's how I'm transacting myself with the ecosystem that I have around me.
That's so beautiful, uh, what you just said about smiles, because that really is a way, isn't it, that we can
Mhm.
sense one another so well. Like
Mhm.
there's a saying, there's nothing you need at the moment that you're smiling. And that smile cannot be, it has to be genuine. I remember, I don't know if you
Yeah.
can see my teeth, they have gaps and things like that. And when I'd first gone to a dentist here in the US, we had to fill out a form, and one of the questions was, "Are you happy with your smile?" And I wrote over there, I smile when I'm happy, so I'm happy with my smile. You
That is so well said.
because
Yep.
because here they think of it, which is fine, it's nice, it's true, they were thinking of it as the structure of the teeth, but I'm
Hmm.
thinking of it as the feeling from which that smile emerges. And that smile is important, like you were saying. That's how you immediately, without a thought, without words spoken, immediately you have seen how that person is feeling. I love
I
how
should
you have
mention
brought the
something here. Since you
yeah,
brought this visit
yeah.
to the dentist and the question in the form, so recently I'm doing one social activity every day, and so there is this housekeeping guy who comes from a very poor, underprivileged background, and he definitely doesn't look like Shah Rukh Khan or Salman Khan or any of the handsome dudes who are out there, right? So he doesn't have the Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise look. He's a very poor guy coming from a very basic, very modest household. And when he comes to me, the the way he smiles, the way he rushes to say Namaste, madam, he's, I think, the most beautiful person I have seen, who may be ugly looking from the standards of how people define beauty, but he's cute. He's beautiful because the whole of him, the entire face lights up. It's not just the teeth, not just the part of this mouth, the space
Yeah.
between the lips. It's the face which smiles. It's the eyes that smile. And that's what smile is. And that's what transacts the, positivity, the energy, the acceptance. That's what matters.
That's so interesting that you said how, and you described the whole face smiling, because there's this theory that we learn, and we have a teacher who will be talking about that in the coming week, which is called tri-origin smile. and
Hmm.
uh, and where they say that smile is the essence of life. It's there in every cell of our body, and it's the eyes smiling, the nose smiling, the lips smiling, so the whole face
Yeah.
is smiling. And you're right,
Yeah.
that's exactly how you described him. If even when you're describing, I feel like I can see this being with his whole face lit up. So just
Correct.
conversing about it, you have brought his aura into this conversation, into whoever is listening. This is the beauty
Yeah.
of ordinary conversations, you know?
That's so
Some,
right.
yeah, where you don't even know what's going to happen, and where
Hmm.
where a conversation might lead. One of
Yeah.
the things which you said, which I really like, because you wrote this to me, you said that we cannot choose what comes to us, but we can
Hmm.
choose what we offer to the world. So
Hmm.
I'm going to twist it around and ask you, do you think that by choosing what you offer to the world, you are actually choosing what comes to you? Or do you feel there's a little thing there also, and that which I'm seeing in you, and that is your perception? Your perception is changing this around.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so you must have heard me use the word transact all the time. And energy. So somewhere I believe that we are all bundles of energies and we are all just moving around with the carrying the persona that we have. And it's the energy which comes out of us when we see somebody and the way we feel about that person or not. So when I say what we choose to give or what get comes to us, I'm not really looking at just the aspect of one human transacting with another human, but I'm actually looking at a much larger picture of what life is and how my life has been and what I have received and what I have found that I could offer. So, from that frame of reference, I can say that there was a time when I would plan things. I used to be that personality where I liked things in structure, in order. I wanted to be in control. I wanted to be able to predict what happens when something is done. And like I said, over a period of time, I recognized that it is good to plan. It is good to know. It is good to be in control. And but then you have to make room for the things which are outside of you. So I am able to control, but everything outside of me, my physical form, is still happening, and they also have something to offer. So while I cannot choose what comes to me from outside, what I can offer is what is best about me. What is it that my purpose of my life is? What is it that I can offer? Over a period of time, I could realize what I was good at, what I was not so good at, where I can add value, how I can contribute to the best of my abilities and potential, and make a good harmonious coexistence with things around me, and not remain in conflict that, oh, I planned it this way and it's not going right, it's not working the way I wanted it. So I was able to move away from the conflict of choices between me and my, my world around me, to a place where there is a very nice harmony between I'm able to give what I can give, what I'm good at, and I'm receiving what I need, which anyway eventually becomes a reflection and a mirror, like you said. When you start giving what you give, what you get is definitely in abundance, just a reflection of who you are. So, what you just started saying, that yes, in a way, what comes to you are, is those are the choices that you've made, is what's coming back to you. I think, yes, I seem to agree with that, because I've been able to see that, receive it, and I think I acknowledge that. Hmm.
Yeah, I know that we are sort of skirting around one of the things that people talk about, which is the law of attraction. And I
Hmm.
sometimes think that we don't fully understand what it says. For example, in one of my healing classes, I asked my students, I said, what is your wish? What is your deepest wish from what you are doing right now? And so most of them will say, which is beautiful, I want to serve the world, I want to help people, I want to do things, I want to heal. And then they asked me, what is your wish? I said, I wish that I'm not needed as a healer. I wish that everyone has realized that within themselves is everything that they need, and I'm not needed. That how can my dream be that I'm healing people? My dream is that nobody needs healing. So,
Yeah, so beautiful.
so it
This is
really
so
depends on
beautiful.
how widely you can see. How
Hmm.
and I feel sometimes that we are so scared of looking because we don't trust that wonders can happen, what we talked about as miracles. But we've
Yes.
seen. The funny thing is that all of us are seeing these wonders, but we don't want to believe them. For example, what is your view? I want to ask you, this is something, nothing that we had thought of. What is
Hmm.
your view of placebo, the placebo effect?
Yeah, honestly, I haven't given much thought on it. I do know that sometimes the thoughts can become very powerful, and thoughts can actually uh, create actions. Thoughts can become actions. And to me, placebo is one such thing, where there is a thought uh, is seen as, which is seen in a physical form, or people believe that it is getting manifested in physical, and that's where it gets converted into action. So the minute you have, so to me, placebo effect is like equivalent to faith. So you say, oh, I have faith in this, and whether or not you have actually taken a medicine, or done something which causes that, whether there is a physically seen causal relationship,
Yeah.
but it is still working, it is still happening. So that's my opinion on
Yeah,
placebo.
so think that's what I think. When I see an experiment and they say, "Oh, but this was a placebo effect," I said, "Oh my, do you see that you saw a miracle and you're calling it a nothing? You're saying it is of no importance, whereas this is the real thing." You have just been shown that the thought of a person can be so powerful. And actually, if it's in an experimental situation, the subject is has got enough faith in the experimenters, in the scientists, that they believe that what they are being given is an actual pill.
Yeah,
So
it
it's
is.
one, it's faith in this whole situation, and two is their belief, and three is the action they take. And because of all of this, a real life event takes place, which is a real life
Mm-hmm.
illness gets reversed or removed.
Mm-hmm.
This,
True,
so
true.
there you go. I mean, yeah. So I love what you said over here. You know, one more thing I realize is that what do you, when you're giving your stories to the children, are you
Mm-hmm.
teaching them, or what kind of stories are they? What are you telling them?
Okay, that's interesting. So I don't know how storytelling came because I am not a professionally qualified storyteller and I'm not really a teacher, so I don't have a degree in teaching. But then stories, who doesn't like them, right? And then, of course, once I became a mother, I wanted to be a mother and as much of a mother as I could possibly be in my physical and non-physical being. So, stories, anyway, I would be telling my children about my life first. So that's how the idea of telling stories became. So you want to say something, you want to convey something, whether it's a message or whether you just want to entertain your own children, putting them to sleep, and you're telling stories. So first thing was telling them stories about my life, my childhood, my mother's childhood, or whatever I knew. Then I realized, as and when I was doing more and more of it, and we have a society, residential society here, and I was playing with those kids along with mine. And sometimes they would also sit around me and listen to these stories of who I am and how things happened when I was a kid. And then I realized some of these kids opened up. So there used to be time where I would say something, and then the other kids would chime in, and then they will start telling their own stories. And we would actually weave a new story altogether because I'm saying something, they're saying something, another one is saying something else. And there you go. There's a new story now, which is, a beautiful weave of everybody's life or everybody's life events coming together. And everybody enjoyed, everybody participated, everybody felt overjoyed, enthused, and why not? So that's how it works now with me, and we do all kinds of funny stories, ghost stories, comedy stories. Sometimes we weave in history. For example, we just had 2 months ago, I had this story about Mississippi River, and it's so there is a history, there's a real piece of history there, and then we were able to weave some fancy, some imaginative things because these little kids were excited. They were 7, 8 year olds, so yeah, so that's what happens when we do storytelling here. And this is just what I do out of love and passion. It's not something which is formal. Just they capture me and we get to it. That's it. That's how it works.
Wow, this is so wonderful. I love the way, what you've just described, this interweaving. You've shown that you're not only a teller, but you're also a listener, because the children can sense that they can speak their stories. And so often children, of course, now I think we suppress them less. But I think in our childhood there
Yeah.
was more suppression. There was more like, listen to the grown-ups, not the children.
Yeah.
But you're
Yeah.
listening.
This
And
is the
so,
right story. This is the only right way to do it.
yeah.
Now there is no such rule.
No, but this is beautiful because I love this interweaving of one another's stories into maybe you can publish them one day. Maybe
I don't
you can record them,
Yeah,
no?
I
At
haven't.
least the
I do have
voices.
few pictures. Yeah, so I
Okay.
get so involved in this that at that moment I'm not doing any recording. I mean, like we are just in a
Yeah.
flow.
Yeah,
So
exactly. You're recording in the Akash. It's all getting recorded.
it's happening. It's becoming our
Yes.
experience. Everybody's
It is.
experience. That's how it is.
Wow, this is
Yeah.
this is really fascinating because I remember once my sister and I we were writing to our mother, and we decided to write, like she would write a few words, and because our handwriting was almost similar, So we kept writing almost as if it's the same person, and we kept and we realized what a wonderful experience that was. So this is sort of reminding me
Yeah.
of that, you know. So I've just woven in my story into yours.
That is so right. That's
I
how it
want to
is.
weave another story. This is like a plug.
Sure,
I used to
sure.
read. Did you have any favorite stories? Like, you know, all of us read the ancient stories. I love the story of the blind man and the elephant, for example, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just thinking one day, I said, okay, now human beings in many countries have read this story again and again and again, right? Some from Buddhist structures, they say they came from the Buddha, others say they came from the Panchatantra, wherever they came from. But
Yeah.
now that we have heard the story, the blind men aren't blind anymore, because when you're reading a story, you're bringing yourself into the character. Not only like what you described, that you can, you can take it forward. So
Mm-hmm.
I said, what would happen now? Now that the blind men know that this is what's happening, what could have happened? And I said, if four blind people looked at an elephant, which is also a metaphor, right? All of us
Mm-hmm.
are looking at the same thing from different perspectives. But if we put together our perspectives, we get the whole story.
Mm-hmm. That's
And for
right.
me, because you were asking what is co-creator circle, this is co-creator
Mm-hmm.
circle.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. I like the way you bring it. I mean, I definitely was curious to know what it is. Oh, I love the way you brought it.
You know, because none of us, if we think, like, see, you were an expert, you are an expert at something very professional, VLSI. I'm going to even ask you about that later. And
Uh-huh.
then you realize that there's something here which needs another perspective, because not just about what you're learning and teaching and doing, but it's also about you brought yourself into what you're doing and realized something more is required to round it off. So you did NLP,
Uh-huh.
you
Yeah.
know, and so you made your story more rounded. Now, does that mean that what you did earlier, like you were saying that what you did earlier was very, that I should plan and everything should go in an engineering kind of mindset? So when you did NLP, did it change your mindset, or did you feel what you did was wrong, or did it enhance it?
It definitely enhanced it. And in fact, if you allow me, I'll just go back in the memory lane for a bit just to tell you why NLP came in my life and why I chose to do it. So, yes, up until 2006, I was in this professional life where I was just doing things. I was uh, I was employed. I was doing what my degree had taught me to do. And I was gaining experience, doing very well. And 2006 is when my daughter, my second born, was born. So 2005 is when I had my son. 2006 is when I had my daughter, and that's when I completely came out of my uh, degree-defined professional career. And then I was with them when they went to daycare, when they went to preschool, and then of course nursery, kindergarten happened. We happened to be in US around those years when they were growing up, and uh, I was always in the schools wherever they were. So, in fact, some of the schools wanted me to take some certificate. So, since I was on a dependent visa, I would not be working, and I never cared. I didn't want to work. I didn't do it. I didn't want to earn money out of it. I just wanted the experience of being there. So, I took those certificates, which allowed me as a parent to be in the school and sort of assist the teacher. And I was able to bring the Indian perspective to these schools and to these teachers and classrooms. And so I was a photographer for the class field trips. I was sometimes I would volunteer in the library. Sometimes the children would be doing their projects or assignments, and I would just help them. And I realized no matter how much of my master's happened, no matter what my semiconductor or VLSI taught me, none of my professional degree or my experience of industry fit somewhere in this when you're dealing with these little kids, when you're when you're with them, the kind of questions they ask, what they expect from you when you are with them, if you're presented to them as a person who will guide you, the kind
Yeah.
of questions they ask is not getting served from the degree that I had. And I realized I needed to understand them more and more. And then the years passed. I mean, I learned how to deal with all of this. Later on, I was working more and more with engineering undergraduate students, which were, let's say, starting from the age of 18 years to 22 years. And I was dealing more and more with them, and several thousands of them. I understood something very clearly, that while I was gaining experience on the ground, in the field, with how to be around these people, and I think I did a fair job of it, somewhere, if I also go into NLP as a formal coaching, there will be several perspectives which I would gain further. And my dealing with these people, when we talk about any form of learning, any form of coaching, would definitely be better. I'll be able to hear them more. I'll be able to be a better coach to them and give them a coaching which has a technical flavor, but which eventually comes to serve the social setup where they belong. And that's how NLP happened to me. I thought I should, I mean, so technique, no one asked me to take NLP coaching certification. I could have done what I'm doing right now without it as well. But I feel I'm doing a better job now, uh, in, in my dealing with all of these little kids, big kids, all of that. And of course, personal relationships definitely improve.
Yeah, that's beautiful because you don't didn't just do the certification, you obviously brought it into your day-to-day life and also
Yeah.
so so just because we've been talking about that, what is VLSI design?
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, all these things we have, like the phone, all the electronics that we have. So, there are these circuits which we can't see, but the integrated chips, which are those. So, when you look at a motherboard inside a laptop, or the small PCB, which has all those uh, devices which are like packaged as black squares or rectangles, and they have
Mm.
golden legs or pins coming out of it. Whatever the circuit is inside is what the design of that is what is I've my profession, or what I used to do. So very large scale integrated. So when if I want to expand VLSI, that's what you mean. Very large scale integrated circuits. But these are those tiny circuits which are fabricated on a silicon wafer and then cut into dies and then packaged as ICs, and then they are soldered on PCBs, and they form all the electronic circuits that we have.
Beautiful. That's so interesting because just I'm married to an electronics engineer, and when we were students together, I was studying management, he was studying
Mhm.
electronics engineering. Um, we were
Uh-huh.
just friends, we were not dating. We were friends. We would go out together, and I remember the
Uh-huh.
day. And I was just telling this to my daughter the other day. I remember the day he brings this tiny little thing, and I still remember the feeling of it on my finger. And this is,
Mhm.
I don't know how many years ago, because you can see from my age, it was decades ago. It was like 40 years ago when it must have just
Uh-huh.
come out. And he put it
Yeah.
on my finger. He said, "You know what? This is an integrated circuit." And then
Yeah.
what is it? And he talked about smart cards. When that time there were no smart cards, although maybe they were in Sweden. I don't know. I've forgotten now. But
Mhm.
I mean, so I've because of him, I've been in this sort of. I've had an understanding a little bit, but I didn't know about VLSI. So yeah, thank you about that. This is beautiful. And I was just wondering. I even asked my daughter. I said, I wonder if
Mhm.
we still use integrated circuits. I could have asked my husband, but I didn't. And now you've given me the answer. They do.
Yes, they do all the time.
Well, I'm talking of a time when even in the institute, we were at the institute in Bangalore, the
Hmm.
Tata Institute, Indian Institute of
Hmm.
Science. The whole,
Yeah.
um, there was a whole building which had one computer, from
Yeah.
those times.
Yeah.
And today, our tiny little phones can do more than that computer could do. Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Such
That's the
wonder.
industrial revolution.
So I'm asking you now because you're in both the fields of emotion and also of the engineering aspects of life. And since I mentioned AI,
Mhm.
anything, what comes into your mind about AI? What's going on and what's artificial about it?
So I'm definitely not the right person to give a perspective or view on AI because I'm not working in this field. I'm a user of AI. To me, AI is when the students are able to improvise their language. So I'm going to use, or I'm going to answer to this question more from the frame of reference that I have and where I am positioned. So in educational institutions, there are there are two main parties. One is the faculties and one are the students. And uh, mostly because I'm dealing with these institutions where they are not primarily coming from English speaking background, and AI is able to help them express what they have learned or what they would like to submit. That's the artificial intelligence power. So if they are able to put, even if it's in broken English, a content for the paper or an article that they want to submit, any assignment that they want to submit, AI is able to package it nicely. So that's how students are benefiting from it. They're benefiting from it immensely. They can get all the visuals out of it. They can, so they all they need now is to bring the raw thought out. A raw Earlier they were wasting their energy in, or even becoming less and less confident about saying anything at all because they didn't know how to express, because they wanted to express perfectly and they didn't know how to make it a perfect expression or submission. At least now they are more confident because they think, okay, it's all right if I bring the raw thought, however unpolished it looks like or it is, there is a companion, there is a buddy out there which is going to make it nice if I need to submit it outside. So that's how students are using it.
That,
Faculty is also using it because faculty is able to again do the same thing. More or less, see, they both come from the same strata of the society. Faculty is also able to use it for creating work which would otherwise take them hours and hours, and AI is able to speed them up. AI is able to help them. So in my world where I am, AI is a buddy, it's a companion, and I also use it for the same. So I'm a user and we use AI as a buddy. That's my response to you.
that's good actually. That's beautiful because um, in the end, whatever happens uh, in the world, we have to find the right way of using it, you know.
Hmm.
I remember from our childhood, every time anything comes, uh, there's one group of people who'll always say, "Oh, this is going to ruin humanity." You know, like for example, when comic books came, comics, or people's English will get spoiled, or their language will get spoiled, or they'll get distracted from work and things like that. And when video games came, and then we started learning that surgeons are playing video games, and of course, unfortunately, so are soldiers. But then um, uh, everything human beings know how to do the best, and also, of course, unfortunately, the worst. So
Yeah.
that's one of my questions, which I'm going to ask you. What
Hmm.
do you feel? What kind of world are we co-creating?
Yeah. So um, we all aspire to make a world which is always nice, always good, always everybody's happy. The definition of heaven is what we want to co-create in the world that we all live in. And I'm sorry, I'm going to be sounding a little, again, spiritual when I say that happiness cannot exist without sorrow. To be able to understand happiness, we need to know what sadness is. So when we create a world together, we just need to be honest about things. We need not be violent and destroy what we have been given. We should be able to preserve it. But then at the same time, we should also know that each one of us, every species on Earth, has a conflicting idea of preservation, of survival, of existence. And we should be able to see how the conflicting ideas are managed or respected, and still there is an abundance of happiness while the conflicts continue. How to manage those conflicts, how to manage the sadness so that there is more happiness, so that there is good happiness around us. If we are making an absolute effort that there should be no sadness, it doesn't work like that. It is going to create more sadness. Happiness will automatically happen if we have been able to manage the sadness around it. So, in a world that we are co creating, if we accept that there are going to be conflicts, there are going to be conflicting objectives because each one of us eventually wants to be happy, but in our own individual ways. And if you're able to manage things around it, manage ourselves around it, as a whole, the society will still become mostly happy and less sad. Uh, that's how I would put it.
Very well put. And that shows your the depth of your vision and understanding. Of course, partly because of NLP, but this was already within you. The NLP just allowed it to come out. Neuro-linguistic programming, just in case somebody is wondering what we're talking about. You know,
Mhm,
what you said about sadness and happiness is so important to acknowledge. Because when I was talking about the tri-origin smile, that actually is a very deep theory that gets into emotions. And people think of smile that means is only when we are happy, but actually it is in every emotion. Like you said, the emotions are given to us. And so I'm telling a story here because in
mhm,
the Tuesday circle that I've referred to before, another
mhm,
girl had come once and she said, I'm very sad and I've been sad for a long time. So I'm here because I'm told that maybe you'll tell me something, you'll help me. So I said, why are you sad? She said, I was with someone for a very long time and now we've broken up. I said, then how can you not be sad? You've lost someone whom you loved and whom you are still feeling that you have feelings for, but for whatever reason, the relationship broke. What is the natural feeling? It can only be sadness. That's all I told her. The next week, when she came back, she said, just you're telling me that it's okay to be sad. Now I'm not sad anymore.
yep.
Society is so quick and I won't say society because I don't like using generalizations, but sometimes even when a child comes to us with a problem or with feeling something, I want to tell them don't be sad, but actually that's such, and our words are not really meaning don't be sad, but I wish I could take away the reason for your sadness, but we can't.
Yeah.
you know that's like
Yeah.
it actually brings a richness all our emotions. So if we can just listen and acknowledge to one
Yep.
another that it's okay to have this feeling, because
Mhm,
not having the feeling and suppressing it is what leads to actual ailments, like, for example, depression or many other things, which of course have more things than just the emotion. It's also the chemical things happening in the body. But all this, it's very important to acknowledge. So I'm really happy you said that. And once again, I like the way we're weaving into I just want to say, because I'm talking so much about the Tuesday circles, and just before we had this conversation, you had said that you're wondering about co-creator circle, and I liked that
yeah.
each of us has come into this conversation not knowing a lot about one another or what
Oh,
we,
yes.
you know. So this is nice. It's like when you meet someone for the first time, what do you talk about? What do you find out about each other? It's so interesting. So,
Yeah.
when we used to meet in the Tuesday circles, that was the time in my life very close to what you're saying, when there was financially was a low point.
Mhm,
And that was the time, which again, I'm talking a lot about tri-origin theory now. It is called the homo periods, the contracted periods. And they
mhm,
are the richest time to develop yourself. So I
Mm-hmm.
had these weekly circles where meditation, that's so many, so much richness. People would come from everywhere, from different places, and every week, and we grew together. We did things together. And
Mm-hmm.
then I don't have it now, but it's outside, but I have a poster of Gaia, which is Mother
Uh-huh.
Earth. And
Yes.
and so we put the poster on the ground once,
Mm-hmm.
and each of us put our hands there, you know.
Okay.
And then and then one of my hands, I took a photo. And from
Okay.
that has come the logo of Co-Creator Circle.
Aha.
I
Okay.
no longer have these.
Fascinating.
Yeah, see, I no longer have those Tuesday circles because life has moved in different directions. But
Mm-hmm.
the richness that came from those circles at a time of financial, uh, I won't say poverty naturally, but yes, really strained situation. How can I
Mm.
ever mind that? That was an amazing time. And everyone, those of us who used to come and till now, they talk about it. Oh, by the way, I see that behind me is that smile that I was talking about. The
Oh, okay.
cryoregent smile?
Uh-huh,
That
uh-huh.
smile.
Yeah.
It was created by Professor Park Jae-woo. It's a very
Okay.
specific, yeah. I would really like you to be involved in the different things that we do. It's very important because, um, you know, as we experience everything that we do, I would love you to actually teach something, or maybe have a storytelling session for co-creators,
Okay. I'll
right?
try.
Yeah.
I'll try. I'll definitely
Yes.
try. I would want to do something if I can. If I can do it, I would love to try.
Yes, exactly. We'll do that because it's so important, all of us, to bring the different things that we can do. Um,
Yeah.
so I want to ask you, what surprises you about the world today? Because I won't refer to what you just said, but you said everyone wants happiness. But what surprises you about the world today?
The most surprising thing is that there is so much chaos, but there is still some order. And I mean, I don't want to get into the chaos theory, but this is amazing that despite everything going in a entropy, there is still some order, there is still some progress, and not some progress as in minuscule, but a huge amount of progress. Look at all the young generation that we have in front of us. They have an amazing potential to do something. And then there is this thing about, oh, education is not appropriate, it's not correct, it's not done right. The education should have been done this way, that way. And we still have, so it's despite all the corruption, all the chaos, all the disorderliness, we are moving forward, united together. We are all bringing some new creation to the world every single day. And that definitely surprises me how well we are able to do that. And we are so different, all of us, but we are still able to do things together collectively for the overall good.
That's beautiful. Because also, don't you feel that all the good that takes place, and now I'm going to tell another story, and that's about when there was a time in our life, and when you're parenting children,
Uh-huh.
that can be very stressful for the parents. We had a very good relationship, and I always say, oh my gosh, when the kids came and we were bringing them up together, we would have so many arguments. And so there
Mm-hmm.
was one time when my son heard his friend's parents got divorced, and he got very scared. He said, "Oh, every time you have an argument and you fight, I think you all will get divorced." I said, "No, no, no, don't worry. We will not get divorced. We have decided we'll never get divorced." And so I told him, I said, just tell me one thing. After we've shouted and fought or whatever, what is the air like in the room, in the house? Is it heavy and dense, or is it clear? He said it's clear,
Yeah.
it's light. I said it's like a storm.
Wow.
When there's many
Yeah.
activities in nature, suddenly there's going to be a storm in nature. There's going to be raging, and we are in a hurricane zone. So trees fall and houses break and all kinds of things happen. But
Yeah.
after that, people come together, they help one another, the air is clear, the birds sing. If there's like I had one tree in this whole neighborhood which was full of flowers, it had thousands of hummingbirds. Everyone
Hmm.
was coming to take photos of them. So the whole life changes in a different way. So we don't have to be so worried. Maybe that's what you mean when you're saying that there's chaos, you know? There's chaos, there's conflict, and but somehow on the whole, maybe what is coming about is a greater clarity. Do you
Hmm.
feel that's happening? More respect
I
for
I
one
do.
another?
I do, I do. And I'm glad you brought the analogy of the storm because that's exactly what it is. When, for days you've had stale hanging air, when for days you have not been able to wash or clear things, you do need this burst of storm or wind or turbulence or some sort of disruption. And after that disruption, definitely you suddenly see the light. Things get washed, things become absolutely clear. Uh, I could even give example of when we go into this spiritual, meditative, or healing, particularly, the process of healing can be so painful. We could be grieving the loss of something or someone or anything else, any other trauma. That process. So either we choose to just stay away from it and stay afraid and not go into healing, but then that continues to hurt more and more and more and more. And you seem to be still, you seem to be calm on the outside, and people think everything is fine. And you will keep on saying, oh, I'm great, I'm fine, I'm doing well. But when you go through this painful process, it eventually brings you out all washed, all sorted. So yes, I think disruption, this heavy washing, heavy cleansing, it does intimidate when it comes in, but then it does leave the life, the world, the people in much more ordered, clearer and cleaner form than they were before. So I truly believe in this. Uh, this also helps me to cope with challenges in my life as well. So yeah, I'm not afraid anymore, and I would say let's let's say the world is going through a churn, but things will be great.
How do you normally get to know what's happening in the world?
Social media brings everything to me, even if I don't want to. So I'm not really watching news as such. I don't have a fixed time where I'm looking at what's happening in the world. So my focus is more on things which are around me or the ecosystem that I referred to at the beginning. That's where, these are my circles of control and circles of influence. And that's where I put more of my energy. And that's where I'm listening and hearing more, but I'm definitely aware of what's happening outside. And social media brings it to me one way or the other. And then I'm also listening to my family members or the students around me. And I do get to know uh, more or less. So, but I do have filters. I have my own filters where I take some and I just, refuse some information that comes. So, yeah.
Yeah, because we do, yeah, one has to sense what is being spoken. Is the whole picture being given to us? Is the whole story being told? And
Mm.
I think, did you mention meditation, or do you meditate, or how do you go inward?
I don't meditate in the way people are taught meditation, or all the videos, all the textbooks which floats around that you have to sit in a manner and do meditation. To me, meditation is happening all the time. I mean, I, to me, for example, cycling is also meditative, or I would say therapeutic, because If I go out on my cycle, I'm with myself, and I'm in my own world of thoughts, of things which are around me, and I'm listening to my body, I'm listening to my heartbeat, I'm listening to all the emotions that I have. To me, that's meditation. When I'm sitting cuddling my daughter, so she's home right now for summer, so she's only been to college 1 year, so right now this is the time when she feels very, happy being home. So when I'm with her, when I'm talking to my son on the phone, all of those moments, I'm so uh, I'm so much in those moments, and that's meditation to me. That's how I define meditation, and it's not the typical wake up early morning, sit, find a corner, and sit there. And that's not how it is. I could be walking, I could be looking at a flower, and I may be meditative.
That's beautiful. I want to ask you more about your cycling. So when you cycle, do you go alone or do you go with people? How do you do this?
I go with small groups of people. I can go alone as well. So we've done both ways. We just get up and go. The familiar routes, and we just take. But yeah, we do have small groups that helps us take care of each other in case there is some incident. So it's always comfortable being with those two, three, four people, but these are all small groups. I don't go into big groups because in bigger groups, people are generally racing, and that's not what I like. I'm a long distance endurance cyclist kind of a person.
Wow.
So, and I've done that. I've ridden, 600 kilometers at a stretch over 40 hours. So,
Oh
and we were
my
just four
God.
of us. Yes, yes, and we were just four of us, and it was amazing. So yeah, short groups with some people, like-minded people, uh, enjoying life, enjoying nature, being absolutely exposed and vulnerable, and I love that.
So you do such this, there are so many more things to be uncovered about you. The cycling for so long is just amazing. How do you do it? How do you find the endurance to do it?
It's all here. So you start with your physical form, but it's your mind that takes over, and the mind actually resists a lot. So there's a lot of internal resistance, and we keep saying your mind is a monkey, and it keeps telling you go back. It tells you of the comfortable AC, air conditioned room that you have left. It tells you of all the good food that you could be eating or watching TV or doing anything else, and not sweating and not looking filthy and dirty. So your mind does both things. Your mind, there is this monkey mind which tells you to stop, and then there's the other mind which tells you to know you can do more, you can go on more. Oh wow, you've done so much, do more, see what more you can do. So it's all mind game. It's not really game of physics, physical. It's a game of mental resilience. It's mental endurance.
Yeah, and you said earlier also about how the power of thought is. So I can see that. Where did you get this from? Where do you feel your endurance came from?
I don't know. I mean, I think maybe I'm born this way. uh, I'm by nature, I am a passionate person, and I do credit a lot of my being to my dad. I've learned a lot from my father. I The passion part definitely comes from him. When you do something, just do it so well that there is no other way to be doing this. And I've also suffered from this stigma of, if it's not perfect, then it's not done kind of thing. So, but I've been able to get over that. So I'm no longer striving for perfection. I'm striving for doing something with my wholesome in it. But so I think I think it's an internal drive, internal energy and fire, which makes me do everything that I do. And my students keep asking me this question as well. Should I tell you what I tell them? Okay.
Yes.
So when my so so and not only students, in fact, there have been vice chancellors and directors of institutions who also ask me, where do
Yeah.
you get this energy from, or this fire from? So I tell them that the minute I hug anyone, So the students. So the minute I hug, there is this energy which gets transferred, and that refreshes me. So you can have me standing all day, working with the students, doing this, that, and then the minute you hug, you are ready for the next round of 6 to 8 hours. So I
Wow,
think, yeah. So all I need is just one hug, and it does the deed.
that's so beautiful. You
Yeah,
know,
all my students tell me that. Ask me this, and they get it. I mean, we start with a big hug first. I mean,
that's lovely. See, I'm discovering so many wonderful layers and layers and layers of wonder as we are talking. When you talked about hug, it reminds me again what we had said about Gaia, because
hmm
there was, it's a long story, but I'm going to say it short. There was a Swami who was in the foothills of the Himalayas. They were always in Samadhi, around the world, and they're connected with one another. And he came and he gave us the message that there were these people, all of us have been sending. I mean, I'm using my words, not his, but I don't know how he just conveyed it to us. These are the sages, and I used to think that we've just heard of them, but they're really real. They're there. They send out these thought forms, these waves into the world. And
hmm
he said, now I've been asked to come here and say that thousands of people in every time zone need to send out this vibration. He just called
yeah.
it actually a daily wordless prayer, which means no intention, nothing, just in gratitude and in love for Mother Earth, because everything
hmm
that we receive from Mother Earth.
True.
So,
True.
so I was so at that time, and he used to go. We were in an online community at that time. It was Zads, and it became Gaia. That's another story. And then,
Okay.
and he used to write in everyone's, he used to go around somewhere how we give messages to one another. He would write
Uh-huh.
huge hugs, and the way he would write
Yes.
it is two capital letter HUG, and in the first one he would make a, like, within brackets he would write a
Mhm.
small E, and with the second one he would write a small S. So his huge
Ah,
hugs, I used to find, wow, imagine that. He's a Swami from the mountains and from somewhere. So now you've told me also about hugs, the power of hugs.
yes, it is. It's very powerful.
So this
It works for
daily,
me.
yeah, yeah, this daily practice, that's what he was saying, that if we can just think that we are giving a hug to the whole world virtually, how
Yes.
much energy and power now I'm seeing from you. I never thought of it this way. I just thought
hmm
of it as being in gratitude, but from you, I'm now seeing that this hug gives so much energy because you've
It
shown it in
does.
a physical way.
It does. I believe in it. It does. I'm a living example of it.
Ah. Well, I'm giving you a virtual hug, Sampada.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm known to
Thank
be
you.
a person who doesn't normally give. So I'm learning. I'm learning to be more. But I actually, you can do it with your eyes. You don't have to always hug with that's what I say. But yes, of course, a physical hug is wonderful. But that's why I think eyes, like we were talking just before this conversation, that let's look at the camera and not at the screen, so we can, so people who are looking at the video later can see us and can see
hmm
that we are looking at them. Because in our hearts, aren't they in the conversation? You know? It's not
Yeah.
just you and me. We have talked about the
Yeah.
children, we've talked about others, but also in my heart are the people who are going to be listening. And I hope that that thoughts have come, their stories have come, and I hope that they will share it when we share this video. It's so important. So I'm directly talking now to anyone who may be listening or who may be looking at the video, that as you listen to Sampada and me, what came up for you? What story is would you like to share? What would you like to hear? What would you like to listen to? What did you like about what we were saying? I would love that kind of an interaction with you, because this conversation is richer when more and more people join in. And just by conversing, we can co-create a world that benefits all just by conversing about who we are, what we do, and what our wishes and desires and dreams and what our asks are about this world. So, as we end, Sampada, do you have anything you want to add before I ask my final question?
Yeah, I think I would just add this one line to what you just now spoke about bringing their stories. Let's weave more stories together and bring all kinds of imagination so that the stories become more and more fancy and we all become Alice in Wonderland, where the Wonderland is bountiful, beautiful, abundant. And yeah, let's have more and more people joined and weave their stories in this.
Beautiful. I love this. So, this is what is your one message you would like to give to the listeners?
I it's a difficult question to say, but to me, what matters is just love everyone. Don't discriminate between rich or poor, good or bad, beautiful or ugly. So I have uh, I have a feeling that each one of us is seeking love and happiness. Each one of us. It could be an animal, it could be a bird, it could be another human from another continent or wherever. Uh, let's just keep spreading love. We should be able to identify where there is pain. So I would never say don't acknowledge, and I would never say live in a dream, which is which is where you become less aware of your surroundings. So remain aware of everything that's around you, but as much as possible, accept, recognize whatever is there, and then bring love as much as possible to everything that you touch.
Thank you so
That's
much.
my message.
Thank you, Sampada. This was a beautiful message and a lovely conversation with you.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I definitely would like to know more about Co-Creative Circle, the things that you have done, and maybe one story about one impact uh, that could become the story for this session to conclude, if you still have time.
I can do that. Yeah, yeah, we have time. Because I started co-creator circle strangely because I said that I have so many students, not so many in terms of numbers, but I have students who, because I do adult education. So when you're
Mhm.
teaching grown-ups, each of them has come with their own story, so many talents. I like to teach in very small groups so that I always tell people we are looking at one another. So whatever I'm saying, I only teach what I've absorbed and I don't teach what is not real to me. And you can see it through my eyes. We tell one another stories, and you can see that. Plus, of course, whatever the certification subjects are. But then everyone who's coming already has so many skills, knowledge, information. So I want to teach what you don't know. I don't want to teach what you already know. I teach to and
Mhm.
not at. And in the beginning, what I'm teaching, just clear your mind as if you know nothing, absorb it, and then later weave it into what you already know. Because first you have to be
Right.
open so you fully get the newness that's coming to you. And then I
Mm.
said, I would like a platform where they can express themselves and show and teach, because many of these are certifications which help them to teach. And
Mhm.
so I started Co-Creator Circle for them. And then
Okay.
as we went on, I said, but I have met so many gems in my life, and I would like them to meet one another and to share their shine, share their glow with one another. And slowly it developed into, because this is the story of Co-Creator Circle and how it grew. So I call myself the founder and finder and connector of gems.
Mhm.
I find gems in anyone I meet.
Yeah.
And I really want us to understand that this is reality. Reality is not
Yeah.
what is in in the news. We have to realize one very interesting thing which we forget. News is what is unusual. It is not what is usual. This
Mhm,
conversation between you and me is a very normal, ordinary conversation, which is extraordinary in its impact.
mhm,
But
mhm.
this is more real, right? We are
Yeah.
having these conversations all around us, and we have to make them now outward. So we have to
Mm,
share that so that people understand that this is actually more real. Like you were saying, what we are seeking actually maybe is what is already happening. We,
mhm,
all this is happening in the world, and we need to share this out. So co-creator circle is for that. It is to bring together people who understand that what they're doing even in their ordinary moments is extraordinary, you know, and
right.
can and its aura can spread out into the world, and who are willing to do so, willing to talk their walk and walk their talk.
Beautiful. 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 Wow, I congratulate you for starting this. And how many years have you been doing this?
It's been 5 years, and very often my
Wow.
accountant tells me, Meenakshi, well, he started telling me in the third year, Meenakshi, it's time. You know, it's supposed to be a business. You're supposed to be making money. And that's when I realized, this is an ink with a soul. I'm doing
Mm,
it for different reasons and different purposes, and it's happening, right? Everything just happens. What's meant to happen will come the way it's meant to. I don't want
yeah.
to grow it
Hmm.
in any other way than that. In an organic way, the way a plant grows, the way a tree grows. It takes its time, but it's
Yeah.
constantly growing. So, one of the impacts that you were asking me, I
Hmm.
realized that people would reach out who would say, they are lights in a place where no one around them is interested in what they're doing, which is actually, in a way, the same for me. Although my family members are sort of involved, and even my friends, some of them were, but most people are not interested in everything that you are doing and the wholeness of you. So this
Yeah.
way, people would tell me that I'm able to have this community, and I realize the greatest gift that Co-Creator Circle gives is that community, a place where you
Hmm.
feel you can shine your light.
Hmm.
You can find people who you can collaborate with. So, for
Hmm.
example, we have an architect. She is an interior designer, interior architect from Germany. She has moved to Costa Rica, and she's making
Hmm.
this whole place in a very beautiful, sustainable way. We are going to be doing classes there. So already these collaborations have started taking place, you know?
Wow, lovely.
Yeah, so many, many things like that are happening. Lots of these kinds of collaborations, which are real.
That's amazing. That's so
Yeah.
wow. Oh, so this is a force. This is, and may God be with you. Let the force multiply.
Yes, it is all of us. We are the God, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Sampada, for this conversation. And I'm so happy that the universe brought us together.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank,
Thank you for having me over, and thank you for this lovely conversation. I enjoyed every moment of it.
thank you. So did I.